Since having these two devices in my house, reviewing the OnePlus Open, but also picking up and looking at and using occasionally the Pixel Fold, there's just sort of been this thought in my head. This thought of, man, I wish I could just combine these two devices into one, because I could maybe make the perfect phone for me if I could bring these two together. And that kind of got me thinking, if I were able to create my perfect smartphone, what would that look like? And that's what I'm going to talk about today in this video. What would Shane's perfect smartphone be? And the first aspect of my perfect smartphone, I think it's quite obvious. It would have to be able to do this. I'm just not using something that can't open up into a tablet anymore. Not in the year 2023. It's all foldables for me from here on. So step number one, make it a foldable. So let's go broad first with this, other than the fact that it's going to have to be a foldable. What would the general hardware be? What phone's hardware quality, hardware feel would I steal for this foldable? And the answer is actually already in my hand. It's the OnePlus Open. This thing is extremely light, but at the same time, it feels, well, light for a foldable. For a normal phone, it's still heavy, but light for a foldable. At the same time, though, it does feel very, very solid. I love the way that this thing's hinge feels. It's kind of light and energetic, which I really appreciate. This thing just has phenomenal hardware, but there's one aspect of this hardware that I would not keep. I would take the dimensions from the Pixel Fold. I've said this before in other videos, but give me my mini flagship. I adore the size and shape of this device. I love it, I love it, I love it. If you can take the hardware quality, the construction, the build of this phone, the hinge of this phone, but give it to me in this size and shape with this aspect ratio, I am absolutely happy as can be already. But there's another aspect of the hardware that we kind of need to touch on as well, and that is the screen. Okay, so the screen on the Pixel Fold, I think, is just fine. The inner and outer screens both are of decent quality. The brightness of both of them are fairly decent. The OnePlus Open similarly has a really great screen. But if you could take the screen from the Pixel 8 Pro and give me that kind of quality, that kind of brightness, I know some of you are going to say, but Shane, this phone has a brighter screen. And perhaps in some HDR scenarios that might be true, but in like normal lighting, and I think Linus Tech Tips or maybe Short Circuit or somebody, they tested this as well and they found the same thing that my eyes were able to find. A lot of the time, most of the time, even if you're not looking at HDR style content, the Pixel 8 Pro is still the brighter screen. Okay, so if I could take that screen and make that be the cover display, right, and then take that level of quality and make that into a foldable display. Maybe that's cheating. If I can't do that, then what I would say is give me this foldable screen, right? And we're using this hinge, so that level of crease, which I've shown you on multiple occasions, there's a crease there, but it is much more minor than on other devices. Give me the Pixel 8 Pro screen as the cover display. If I can't cheat and have that screen as a foldable screen, then give me the screen from the OnePlus Open. What about though once you've opened it up and you're using those screens? What software experience would I want to have? And I thought about this and I thought OnePlus has some really good stuff, right? But so does Samsung. They've got some really good stuff as well. But if I'm picking a software experience, I'm looking no further than a Pixel. I just absolutely adore the Pixel experience. I love the way that the animations look. They're so nice and smooth and consistent. And I love the added features on Pixel devices as well. I love how well voice typing works. I love how well Google Assistant works. If I'm able to take it directly from the Pixel 8 Pro as well, right, get Magic Editor, get the best take feature, add that in with all the other things that we already have, Now Play, and there's just so many features I would absolutely take for this device. As an overall software experience, if I'm stealing one from a phone, it's going to have to be the Pixel experience. It just feels like home to me, and I would probably be more than happy to go back to my Pixel Watch as well and just be in that Pixel ecosystem again. What about for the internals? Well, for that, we're not going to go with anything that's currently in a Pixel. I do think that the Tensor is fine, but if I'm building my perfect phone, That's not what I'm doing. What I would do is I would say whatever the latest Snapdragon is, that's what I want. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is around the corner. If I can reach into the future and grab that, that's what I want. If not, give me the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, what's in the OnePlus Open. It's super duper fast. Battery life is solid on it because of that. It's just a fantastic processor. I would go with the Snapdragon all day long. What about for the speakers? To my ears, the OnePlus Open has about the best speakers around. They sound absolutely phenomenal. So if I could steal those speakers, I think I'm going to be quite happy as well. There are some slab phones that have really, really nice speakers as well. The S23 Ultra sounds quite good. I know iPhones have very good speakers as well, but we'll go with the speakers on the OnePlus Open. Speaking of iPhones, though, for the camera, we're going to split this into two segments because there is not one camera system that really captures everything for me. Captures was a good choice for wording. For video, we're going with the iPhone. There is no way around it, no ifs, ands, or buts. The iPhone shoots the best video around. It just does. I feel like Samsung is very, very close. Google has gotten closer with their Pixels. Even the OnePlus Open does pretty darn well in video now, but no one truly can take out the king of video, which is the iPhone. So give me the iPhone's video. For camera, for still shots, there are a lot of possible answers here. I thought about Samsung because I really quite like their color science now. It's a little bit exaggerated, but I kind of dig it. I kind of like it. Their portrait mode looks really, really good as well. I thought about Pixels. They're very consistent, very kind of down to earth, but I don't love their portrait mode. So that kind of pushes them out a little bit for me. But I would probably still be just fine with the Pixel 8 Pro's camera, S23 Ultra's camera as well. You can also look at some of these Chinese phones that have those gigantic 1-inch sensors. Phones from Vivo, phones from Xiaomi that have these incredible sensors that are in them. You could potentially go that route as well. But if we're talking about for a full camera system, and that's what I mean here, I'm going to grab the camera off of the S23 Ultra because by doing that, I'm stealing it all. I'm taking the primary, the ultra wide, and both zoom lenses. To me, that's the most versatility. Yes, the back of it would probably look even crazier than this does, but hey, it's my perfect phone, and we're just going to cram it all in there and make that work. For battery life, there's a lot of options there as well. The S23 Ultra is a very, very good candidate, and I think that's where I have to go. The battery life is fantastic, but I'm going to take the charging from another device. And let's just to throw it out there because it's the one that I have on hand. I'm going to take the charging from this device. 67-watt wired charging is absolutely fantastic. We just do need to throw wireless charging on there. And honestly, for me, as long as it's 15 watts, I don't care. I don't need crazy 30, 40, 50 watt wireless charging. It doesn't matter to me. So give me the 67 watt wired charging from the OnePlus Open and whatever 15 watt wireless charging from whatever device you want to choose. Now, there's one more thing that I kind of want to mention that some of you watching this may have been surprised that I hadn't already mentioned it. As a lot of you know, I was a huge fan of Microsoft's Surface Duo. So let me just say this. If there is a way to create a dual screened phone instead of a folding screen phone, right? Let me grab my Pixel Fold actually, because this is more or less the size and shape that I would want it to be. This is kind of what I would want the screen shape to be for two screens, right? So take this and then put a hinge down the middle and give me my two actually like partitioned screens in this size and shape. If we can do that and have that incredible camera system and it not create that Surface Duo 2 wedge shape when you're in phone mode, if we can just delete physics altogether, so we got to keep it thin, it has to be able to fold 360, it has to have an incredible camera setup, and phone mode be flush. If we can do that, if we can just throw physics out the window, that's probably the direction that I would want to go. The reason I didn't go that way is because I'm essentially asking for something to exist that simply cannot exist. You just can't do that. So I'm trying to be at least somewhat realistic. So yes, I guess I am prioritizing those things over having a dual screen device at this time. It's been long enough since I've daily driven the Surface Duo that maybe I'm kind of forgetting how much I loved it a little bit, and maybe that's why I'm prioritizing things the way that I am, but that's kind of where I'm at. I wanted to throw that out there at the end, so muddy the water a little bit on what my perfect phone would be. But I would love to know from you guys, what would your perfect phone be? Go through the same list and give me your perfect phone in the comments down below. Should be a lot of fun to go through and read them all. Subscribe before you do leave, guys. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.